Islam motivate you a bit more than most, like any other champ?
I'm motivated, I'm self-motivated, and I for sure want to crack at that belt. I for sure want to crack at that 70-pound belt to go for the Triple Crown.
Alright, so picture this. Conor McGregor, the notorious himself, just absolutely rocked the MMA world with a bombshell announcement. He's not just coming back, he's setting his sights on none other than Islam Makhachev for the coveted 70-pound title. This isn't just a fight, it's a monumental comeback that's generating absolutely massive hype across the globe, fueled by McGregor's unparalleled star power and, let's be honest, that incredibly intense historical rivalry he shared with Khabib Nurmagomedov. McGregor, ever the showman, called it a good scrap, and he's openly chasing a historic Triple Crown, aiming to snatch a title in yet another brand new weight class. This potential showdown is seriously intriguing fans, as one of the sport's most famous and polarizing fighters looks to challenge Khabib's top protege, setting the stage for what could be the next truly epic test in his legendary career.
Does Islam motivate you a bit more than most, like any other champ?
I'm motivated, I'm self-motivated, and I for sure want to crack at that belt. I for sure want to crack at that 70-pound belt to go for the Triple Crown.
And what a fight that would be, you and Islam. That'd be crazy, wouldn't it, after all these years?
Good fight. Good scrap. Southpaw. It was a good performance out of him, and fair play to him. He had the courage to do it, to go up. So yeah, I'm excited for it. Let's see what happens. Let's get back in the mix.
Now, Islam Makhachev, true to form and much like his mentor Khabib, has made his feelings about Conor McGregor crystal clear. He really doesn't like him. He's gone on record saying he seriously doubts McGregor will ever step into the octagon again, essentially dismissing the Irishman's fighting spirit. And to add another layer of intense rivalry, Makhachev bluntly stated that McGregor isn't even welcome in Dagestan. These incredibly strong words from Islam, laced with genuine disdain, have only served to crank up the tension surrounding the mere idea of a fight between these two to an absolutely fever pitch, making it an even more explosive and personal potential clash.
Do you think he ever fights again?
McGregor? No, I don't think. Too much drunk, too much marijuana.
What if he came to Dagestan and you trained him? Could you get him right?
Who?
McGregor.
That guy's not stepping foot in Dagestan.
He's
not going
not
there.
allowed.
Could you guys fix him?
No.
Too far, too gone?
He's never gonna come to Dagestan, and we're not friends. We don't want he come.
But wait, there's more drama unfolding. On a completely different note, Ian Machado Gary, never one to hold back, has explicitly shot down any talk of Islam Makhachev fighting Kamaru Usman. Gary didn't mince words, flat out labeling Usman as irrelevant in the current welterweight landscape. He hammered home the point that Usman has only managed a single win since 2021, which, let's be real, is not the kind of record that screams title contender in the UFC. Gary scoffed, saying any chatter about Usman getting a title shot is, and I quote, bollocks. That's a pretty strong dismissal, painting a clear picture of how Gary views Usman's current standing in the division.
I will scream and shout and fight anyone in the world. That fight's not happening. Kamaru Usman is irrelevant. He's had one win since 2021. He's the last one down the list who deserves a title shot. The fact that we're even mentioning his name amongst this title contention is bollocks. He's nowhere near the top. He had one win over a guy who's had nearly double digits lost in the UFC and Joaquin Buckley.
And you know what? Legendary MMA journalist Ariel Helwani actually agrees with Gary on this one. Helwani openly admitted that Ian Machado Gary has demonstrably outperformed Kamaru Usman in recent times and, crucially, absolutely deserves that title shot. He really hammered home Gary's incredible activity and undeniable impact within the UFC over the past year. Helwani highlighted Gary's impressive run, pointing out that he's had 3 high-level fights in the last 12 months. This includes stepping up on incredibly short notice against a dangerous fighter like Shavkat Rakhmonov, then stepping into a main event slot to defeat Carlos Prates, and perhaps most notably, securing a victory over the former champion Belal Muhammad. Helwani meticulously argued that Gary's consistency, combined with these high-level definitive victories, makes him the unequivocally clearer choice over Usman for a shot at the championship gold.
This is a great quote. This is a great quote here. What the fuck has Ian Gary done the last couple of years? Kamaru Usman is a legend. He was offered Shavkat last November. Who ended up fighting Shavkat last December?
Ian Gary.
Kamaru accepted the fight. Okay, we'll see. Kamaru Usman is one of the biggest names in the division. When you're Islam Makhachev, you want to have legacy on your name. So he's trying to paint the picture as to why Kamaru deserves this fight. Kamaru Usman, as we said, has one win in the last 4 years, right? He had a 3-fight losing streak, and prior to this fight, he had not won a fight since 2021. Ian Gary, in the last year, has fought 3 times, including against Shavkat, short notice fight, short notice main event against Carlos Prates, beat him, and then beats the former champion Bilal Muhammad. He has done more in the past year and has won more in the past year and has helped out the UFC more in the past year than Kamaru Usman has in the last 4 years. So the what the F has Ian Gary done is a crazy, crazy comment. Again, I have no problem with him campaigning for his guy, but like, we have to also look at it, you know, honestly and critically as well and say this is nonsense.
However, not everyone is aligned on Kamaru Usman's next steps. Carlos Prates, for his part, also strongly believes that Kamaru Usman absolutely should not be next in line for a title shot, and this isn't coming from a place of disrespect. Prates was quick to praise Usman, acknowledging him as one of the greatest welterweights to ever grace the sport. He totally gets why the UFC might even consider Usman, given his incredibly long and dominant championship reign. Even so, Prates pointed out a critical detail. Usman is currently ranked the 9th in the division, which is a pretty significant drop from his former perch at the top. Prates openly stated that while he has immense respect for everything Usman has accomplished throughout his storied career, he would be genuinely disappointed if Usman were to leapfrog everyone and receive the next title shot. In Prates' own compelling view, he has unequivocally earned that opportunity himself through his recent performances and dedication.
I don't know, Kamaru won the fight for the belt, you know. Also, Kamaru and Makhachev, they have the same manager. So let's see how it's gonna work. But also he's number 9 on the rank. But also he's the GOAT of the welterweight division. So
nah, come on. Wait, first of all, he ain't no GOAT of the welterweight. What, have you heard of a guy named George St. Pierre?
I know that guy, but I prefer Kamaru.
Nah, come on, Carlo. I like you. You would be okay if Kamaru gets the title shot against Islam next.
Of course, no. I would be sad because I won the title shot against.
Yeah. Do you think he is deserving, though? As you say, he's the GOAT. In your opinion, do you think he is deserving?
No, I don't think he's deserved. But also, like I said, he's the GOAT. For me, he's the GOAT.
Interestingly enough, Kamaru Usman, the former champion himself, has thrown his weight behind Carlos Prates, believing he genuinely deserves the next title shot when the opportunity inevitably arises. Usman didn't just give a casual nod, he praised Prates' incredible mindset, highlighting his relentless, constant drive to compete and how he consistently remains eager to fight no matter what setbacks might come his way. Usman was quick to point out that Prates has truly embodied the exact kind of attitude and grit that the UFC absolutely values in its athletes, especially when you look at how quickly and effectively he's accomplished so much in the promotion. While he also gave a shout out to Michael Morales as another impressive rising contender, Usman ultimately concluded that Prates absolutely stands out the most at this very moment, a clear favorite in his eyes for future contention.
I would say right now, for me, I would say Prates. I still think maybe another fight to really kind of, I feel like he's done so much in such a short time. There wasn't enough to let that ripple effect really touch the masses all over the world. But I would say Carlos Prates right now, I like everything I'm seeing from him. His willingness, his excitement to go out there and compete and fight. Even if he loses, it's like, okay, I have to fix that and I'll come back. Like, that's what I love to see. And I think that's what Dana and the company and Hunter and these guys love, is these guys like that. So I love Prates. Morales too is also impressive. You know, no hate on these guys. I love what these guys are doing.
Adding to the chorus of dissent regarding Kamaru Usman, Sean Brady also feels incredibly strongly that Usman is, without a doubt, the least deserving candidate for a title shot right now. Brady didn't hold back, directly pointing to what he perceives as blatant UFC favoritism, suggesting that shared management and personal connections are playing an undue role in the matchmaking decisions. Instead, Brady forcefully argued that Brandon Moreno is far more deserving of that coveted opportunity. He highlighted Moreno's incredibly impressive undefeated 19-0 record, and in a somewhat perplexing turn, even pointed to Moreno's recent victory over Brady himself, alongside his undeniable position as the #1 contender in the division. It's a bold claim that certainly raises eyebrows and sparks debate.
But yeah, like, for me, when I look at it, I'm like, there's no way Ian gets it next. I don't think so. Well, first of all, the least deserving of it is Kamaru Usman. Brother, like, I don't know how they're finagling this shit, like trying to push him into the cahoots. Huh?
Between him and Islam?
Yeah,
like
for
mutual
sure,
friendship.
for
Like
sure.
let's get
mutual
you paid.
friendship, same manager. Like I understand what they're trying to do, but that's bullshit.
Yeah.
I personally, obviously, he beat me. I think Morales is the most deserving out of everybody.
He's
Like,
undefeated.
Undefeated, 19-0, just beat me. I was the #1 contender. Beats me. Number 2 would be, I think Prates is right there. I think he would deserve it more. Shavkat doesn't deserve a title shot.
He got to get back in the race.
He's got to get back in.
Meanwhile, Ali Abdelaziz, the famously outspoken manager, let slip some fascinating insights into the UFC's internal discussions. He revealed that the promotion was seriously considering a blockbuster matchup between Islam Makhachev and either Kamaru Usman or Ian Machado Gary for what was planned to be the UFC's inaugural Paramount event at UFC. Abdelaziz explained the timeline, stating that the UFC actually reached out as early as January 26th about potentially headlining this major main event slot. Islam, to his credit, did consider the offer briefly, weighing the pros and cons, but ultimately decided against such a quick turnaround, feeling it wasn't the right move. However, Abdelaziz specifically added that both Usman and Gary were indeed very seriously discussed as possible opponents, emphatically emphasizing that the UFC is always looking to create the absolute biggest and most electrifying fights when they're planning their major events.
Whoever it ends up being challenging Islam for this belt first, when ideally do you think Islam fights again?
Well, Islam just fight, honestly. Even the UFC reached out to me, they was asking him to fight a main event June 27. He thought about it. Honestly.
Is that the White House guy?
No. January 28. He thought about it. He's like, no. And Habib said, hey.
Who is that again?
Like it honestly, Kamaru's name was in the mix. I can tell you that. Kamaru's name was in the mix for January 28. Honestly, Ian Gary's name was in the mix too. But at the end of the day, man, the UFC is a business. They're gonna make the biggest fight they can make.
Now let's shift gears to another huge development. Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje are officially locked in and all set to clash for the interim lightweight title at UFC 3-4, filling the void left by the champion Ilia Toporia's absence. The stakes couldn't be higher, with the winner earning a direct shot at the undisputed belt. However, this news has ignited a firestorm among many fans, who feel quite strongly that Arman Tsarukyan, despite being the undisputed #1 contender, has been unfairly passed over for this massive opportunity. But hold on, because Dana White, the UFC president, remains absolutely firm on Arman Tsarukyan's immediate position in the lightweight division. White has made it clear that despite Tsarukyan's top contender status, he won't be getting an immediate title shot, primarily because White hasn't forgotten the whole situation surrounding UFC, with Pimblett and Gaethje already confirmed to fight for that interim belt. White adamantly insists that Tsarukyan must rebuild his standing, rack up more earns, and prove his consistency beyond a shadow of a doubt before he'll even be considered again. The UFC president emphatically stressed that title opportunities are not just handed out on a silver platter, they are rigorously earned, reinforcing that Arman will simply need to work his way back into contention through sheer performance.
On lightweight, Arman Tsarukyan obviously the odd man out now. We expect Ilia to be unifying against the interim title winner, which would make a long runway for his
I wouldn't
title.
say that he's the odd man out.
Well,
He had an opportunity, and you guys know how that played out, and he's gonna have to work his way back. I don't give a shit what the number says. He's gonna have to work his way back. There's just too much goes into this for those type of things to happen. We had a little. We were talking back in my room tonight, and we were talking about all the crazy shit that's happened over the last 20-something years. But you can't do that. You can't get the opportunity and then you can't end that way. So he's got to work his way back.
Stepping into the fray, Justin Gaethje, the highlight, actually showed a surprising degree of understanding for Arman Tsarukyan's predicament, missing out on that title shot. Gaethje, with a respectful nod, even went as far as calling Tsarukyan a problem. But crucially, he meant it in the most positive sense possible. Acknowledging Arman's immense talent and threat level, he conceded that missing out on such a monumental opportunity must be an incredibly tough setback for Arman, a gut punch for any fighter. However, Gaethje, with the wisdom of a seasoned veteran, genuinely believes that Arman's time will come, and he will eventually get his well-deserved opportunity to compete for the prestigious belt. It's a sentiment of respect from one elite fighter to another.
What do you think about the whole Tsarukyan situation, with him being on the outside right now? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, sucks to be him, honestly.
Leave it at that.
It is what it is. I mean, no, hey, the kid is a problem. There's no doubt about it. This is a crazy game, and he's going to get his chance. So, see what happens.
And let's talk about Justin Gaethje himself. He is absolutely fired up for this. his second career interim title shot at UFC 384. For Gaethje, this isn't just another fight, he sees it as the clearest, most direct path that leads straight to a showdown with Ilia Topuria. The highlight has a grand plan, explicitly stating that he wants to play spoiler once again, just like he famously did back in the day. He's talking about that time when everyone was absolutely buzzing with anticipation for the legendary Khabib vs Tony Ferguson fight, and he swooped in, completely changing the entire picture by defeating Ferguson. Gaethje openly views the potential Paddy vs Ilia storyline as yet another epic narrative that he can absolutely disrupt and hijack in the same dramatic fashion, asserting his dominance once more.
Last time you won that interim belt, you threw it on the ground in the cage, says it wasn't the priority for you. Do you have different feelings towards it this time and what it could mean at this point in your career?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that it wasn't a priority. It was that I knew Khabib was next. And if I was going to sit there and think that I was any kind of champion with that belt, with Khabib being next, I think I was, going to be foolish. I needed that mindset to prepare for that fight, and he beat me. And but ultimately, like I said, this gets us paid as a champion, and it definitely gives me the chance to fight Ilia. I want to fight Ilia. I want to play spoiler, just like I did in Khabib and Tony. I'm going to f this up for everybody, and there's going to be no Paddy and Ilia. I'm going to do the same thing I did for that fight. And then I'm going to fight Ilia on the White House card if he's ready to fight again. We'll see when he's ready again.
Now, in a candid and quite reflective moment, Justin Gaethje openly admitted that he's getting closer, perhaps tantalizingly so, to the very end of his illustrious MMA career. This is a fighter who has given us countless wars, but here's the kicker. He absolutely plans to pour every single ounce of everything he has into his performances until that final definitive moment arrives. Gaethje is all about focus, keeping his mind locked solely on one fight at a time, completely immersed in the present challenge. He promises, with the unwavering intensity we've come to expect from him, to show up fully prepared, absolutely primed for battle, putting literally everything on the line every single time he walks into that cage. It's a testament to his warrior spirit and his enduring love for the brutal art of mixed martial art.
It is what it is, and timing is everything. And this is perfect timing to finish everything off like I want to.
I was just gonna actually let's touch on that. When you said finish everything off like I want to, what exactly do you mean on that? Like, are we looking towards the end of the line? Like, are we just looking one fight at a time? Or
it's always been one fight at a time, but I would be a fool to say that this is the beginning. There's no doubt that the end is near, and I've been in some of the biggest fights ever in this company, and they continue to give me these opportunities, and so I'm so thankful for them for giving me this chance to prove that I'm one of the best in the world again. Since 2017 I fought 12 times and only one guy has been outside of the top 5, so I've been here, I've been putting in the work, and it's a tough game, it's a crazy game. Everyone's always like, you're gonna win. I'm like, dude, it's such a crazy game. I'm gonna be as ready as I can, and I'm gonna give 100% max effort, and it is what it is.
Meanwhile, Paddy the Baddy Pimblett, in true Paddy fashion, has gone on the offensive, absolutely brutally mocking Arman Tsarukyan and quite openly embracing the UFC's controversial decision to give him the interim title shot. Pimblett's taunts against Arman are relentless. He's teasing Tsarukyan mercilessly for allegedly turning down a fight against Mateusz Gamrot, a major opportunity. He's also bringing up how Tsarukyan supposedly nearly lost to Dan Hooker, even pointing out Hooker's perceived weaker grappling skills, suggesting it was a fortunate escape. And if that wasn't enough, Pimblett is openly questioning the legitimacy of some of Tsarukyan's wins, claiming many fans still harbor doubts. The baddie isn't stopping there. He's even bringing up Tsarukyan's behavior outside the cage, specifically highlighting that infamous incident where he punched a fan. To top it all off, Pimblett is openly mocking the delays and excuses Arman allegedly made when it came to accepting fights. From Paddy's highly confident perspective, he himself would have eagerly snatched up all those opportunities and the accompanying media spotlight without a moment's hesitation.
Do you think, because of what had happened with the Islam Makhachev fight, even though he just beat Dan Hooker, he headlined, he's kind of been, slid out of the way?
It's not even just that though, is it? You know what I mean? People talk about my last 3 wins. Yeah, it's Tony Ferguson, who was on his way out. But Dariush looks about 65. You know what I mean? He's got a full head of grey hair. He beat Dariush. He didn't beat Charles Oliveira. A lot of people didn't think he won that fight. On his way out to the cage, he punched a fan. Got banned. UFC probably had to pay a big fee for the fella not to sue him. He then got his title shot and, I've got a bad back. And got beat by back pain when really he probably just couldn't even make weight. Sits out for 11 months. Gets off of the fight in the meantime against Gamrot, says no. when if I ever got offered the fight against someone who'd beat me, I'd be taking that fight immediately. Then fights Dan Hooker, headbutts him at the weigh-in. No, so like nearly ruined another main event. Like, you can understand why he's not in that position.
Shifting our attention now, Merab Dvalishvili, known for his relentless pace and iron will, has weighed in with his candid thoughts on the highly anticipated Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje interim title fight. He openly stated that it promises to be an incredibly interesting matchup, a stylistic puzzle for both men. Merab astutely noted that Justin Gaethje would likely hold a significant advantage if the fight were to primarily stay on the feet, where his devastating striking power could truly shine. Conversely, he suggested that Pimblett could undoubtedly look much better, perhaps even dominant, if the contest ultimately devolved into a grappling-heavy affair. Merab, with his deep understanding of the sport, honestly added that it's genuinely difficult to accurately predict exactly how this exciting fight will unfold, or more importantly, who will ultimately emerge victorious and claim that interim gold.
Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje, it's gonna be interesting fight because we know Paddy Pimblett, he does more jiu-jitsu, grappling. If they go striking, I think Justin will beat him. But if they try more grappling, then Paddy got this, and who knows what they're gonna do, you know? Either what kind of fights they will show. And yeah, I don't know who will be winning. Both can win.
However, Merab Dvalishvili didn't stop there. He's dropped a pretty bold prediction, stating quite emphatically that he believes neither Paddy Pimblett nor Justin Gaethje possesses the tools to defeat the formidable Ilia Topuria. According to Merab, whoever emerges victorious from this interim title clash between Paddy and Justin will unquestionably face an incredibly tough, perhaps insurmountable challenge when they eventually step into the octagon against Ilia Topuria upon his highly anticipated return. Merab painted a clear picture of Topuria, describing him as an exceptionally strong and well-rounded champion, boasting powerfully precise striking, incredibly solid wrestling fundamentals, and to round out his elite skill set, absolutely excellent Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Given Topuria's comprehensive game, Merab candidly admitted that he genuinely doesn't see either fighter, whether it's Pimblett or Gaethje, having much success against El Matador in a true championship showdown.
Whoever wins that fight, whether it is Paddy or Justin, how do you think they fare against when Ilia is ready to return?
Yeah, they have no chance against Ilia. Either Paddy or Justin, you know. Ilia, very good champion. You know, we know he hits hard, and also he is good wrestler, good jiu-jitsu.
Now let's hear from El Cucucci stating Tony Ferguson, who has offered a truly intriguing perspective on this interim title fight. Ferguson, surprisingly to some, actually favors Paddy Pimblett over Justin Gaethje, and he's got a very specific reason for it. He's openly citing Gaethje's possible lack of motivation to chase yet another interim belt, suggesting that for a veteran like Justin, that particular piece of gold might not hold the same burning desire it once did. Ferguson readily acknowledges that both of these elite fighters can indeed be beaten on any given night, but he strongly feels that raw emotions and mental state could play an absolutely pivotal role in this specific contest. Ferguson believes that Gaethje's ongoing frustration stemming from repeatedly missing out on previous undeniable real title opportunities might deeply impact his performance, inadvertently giving Paddy a crucial edge in terms of sheer mindset and unadulterated hunger.
There for the interim belt, who do you think wins that fight?
Paddy. Only because Justin doesn't want another interim belt. I mean, like, that's just it. You could tell, like, as soon as, like, when we were fighting, like, I prepared for a different guy. Like, I'll be real. And it was like, I wanted to go in there and, like, just, that's not about me anyways. We'll talk about Gaethje and Paddy. Paddy's not bad, dude. Paddy's not bad. He's very beatable, and Gaethje's very beatable as well. But when it goes into the passion and how upsetting Justin Gaethje has always been about not getting that real title shot, and they just keep dangling it right there again.
Tony Ferguson is really digging deep into the psychological aspect of this fight, firmly believing that Paddy Pimblett holds a significant mental edge heading into this massive interim title bout. He emphatically states that Paddy is absolutely ravenous, driven by an insatiable hunger, and incredibly motivated as he's chasing his very first truly big opportunity to prove himself at the highest level. On the flip side, Ferguson suggests that past title disappointments and near misses are weighing heavily on Justin Gaethje, potentially creating a mental burden. Ferguson feels that this raw enthusiasm and fresh ambition undeniably favors the younger fighter, Paddy. He even goes as far as to say that if he absolutely had to pick a winner, he would choose Paddy, seeing him as stepping into a completely fresh, exhilarating moment in his career, contrasting sharply with the battle-hardened veteran Gaethje. Despite his strong pick, Ferguson, ever the sportsman, genuinely wishes both fighters the very best in their highly anticipated clash.
Paddy's in for a new treat, right? Paddy's the one that's never fought for a belt. He's going in there. He's going to be trying to, get that stuff. He's going to feel a little bit more fresher. He's going to have that little bit of excitedness, in my opinion. So if I was going to the book and I was going to try to place the bet, I mean, I would go with the new kid that's going in there and that's going in there for the new opportunity, rather than the old kid that fought for the belt, disrespected it, threw it on the fucking ground, and didn't give a shit for it. In my mentality, that's how he's going to be again. It's going to go for Paddy, in my opinion. So best of luck for both of them. I'll knock each other.
Moving over to Matt Brown, the Immortal, who is clearly not holding back his strong disapproval regarding the decision to grant Paddy Pimblett the UFC interim title shot over Arman Tsarukyan. Brown unequivocally calls this move disappointing, and in his view it serves as a glaring example of just how much unchecked power a single promoter wields over critical aspects like titles and official rankings within the sport. He believes, quite passionately, that this kind of concentrated control is simply not healthy for the long-term integrity and fairness of mixed martial arts. Brown is firm in his conviction that Arman Tsarukyan, based on merit and performance, should have absolutely been the one getting this pivotal opportunity, a sentiment echoed by many fans and fellow fighters.
They're not even they're just basically saying Paddy's more popular, you're getting it over Arman.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, right? And that's, I mean, God, I hate how I kind of get into this too much, but I mean, that's really that's the definition of, a monopoly where a single promoter owns the title and the rankings. And it's not a good thing for the sport, in my opinion.
Matt Brown isn't just concerned about one specific fight. He's casting a critical eye on the long-term impact of the UFC's current matchmaking choices, questioning the very foundation they're building upon. He firmly believes that decisions made purely in pursuit of short-term pay-per-view sales and transient hype might indeed generate a quick, electrifying buzz in the moment. However, Brown argues with conviction that such short-sighted strategies ultimately won't sustain the sport's health and growth in the long run. In his experienced view, true lasting success in mixed martial arts depends entirely on upholding a robust system built on pure merit, consistent performance, and genuine athletic achievement, rather than constantly chasing fleeting trends or passing fads that prioritize entertainment over legitimate competition.
I have to question what it's going to do for the longevity of the sport. I don't think in the short term it's really going to make a big difference, right? It's going to sell the next fight, right? It's going to sell the next pay-per-view. But trends tend to come and go, right? Fads tend to come and go. At some point, to have staying power and lasting power, I think it requires, a meritocracy-based system.
Matt Brown is pulling no punches, openly expressing deep concern about what he perceives as the UFC's increasing tendency to place entertainment value far above the purity of genuine competition. He keenly observes that elite wrestlers, the absolute cream of the crop like Arman Tsarukyan and Movsar Evloev, have no desire whatsoever to rely on social media antics or flashy showmanship just to earn a coveted title shot. What they truly aspire to, what truly drives them, is to become undisputed champions through nothing but their exceptional skill, relentless hard work, and undeniable performance inside the octagon. Brown worries, and it's a valid concern, that when these true athletes, who embody the spirit of competition, are consistently passed over in favor of fighters who prioritize showmanship and entertainment, it ultimately inflicts significant damage upon the sport's long-term credibility and its standing as a legitimate athletic endeavor.
You want to bring in guys like Arman Tsarukyan or Movsar Evloev. I always mess up how I say his name. You want to bring in these Olympic wrestling level guys. I mean, they don't want to have to go out there and put on some ridiculous show to become a champion. They don't want to have to go on Instagram and start a podcast and make whatever kind of skits on social media and this silly kind of stuff. They just want to be a world champion because they want to be the best athlete. And that's what makes me wonder how the staying power is going to be, right? When you're dealing with guys that are legitimate athletes that want to be legitimate athletes, and they're getting passed up by guys that are entertainers.
Now, let's get Michael Bisping's take on things. The Count sees the matchup between Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje as an absolutely highly competitive affair, a true clash of styles and wills. He's quick to point out that Gaethje, even at 36 years old, remains incredibly explosive and downright dangerous, a formidable force with his well-rounded wrestling, his notoriously brutal striking, and those devastating leg kicks that can shut down any opponent. Bisping believes, quite strongly, that Gaethje's recent knockout loss to Max Holloway doesn't truly reflect his usual terrifying form, suggesting it was more of an anomaly than a decline. On Paddy's side, Bisping highlights Pimblett's dominant win over Michael Chandler and his impressive undefeated run within the UFC, clearly viewing him as a very serious and legitimate threat in this high-stakes fight.
But this is a very, very tough competitive matchup. Now, Justin Gaethje is no spring chicken. I think he's 36 years old. But you know what you're going to get with Justin Gaethje. Yes, of course, against Max Holloway at UFC 300, he got knocked out. He got embarrassed. He got face planted. I'll tell you what, it was a shocking scene, okay? But that's not normally what happens with Justin Gaethje. He is one of the most exciting fighters. They do call him the human highlight reel for a reason. He's got great wrestling, but the boxing, the striking, the leg kicks, the punch power that he has, I'm telling you, this man is no joke. And neither is Paddy Pimblett, right? We saw last time against Michael Chandler, he is the real deal. He absolutely smoked him. He's undefeated in the UFC. He put a beating on Michael Chandler.
And digging deeper, Michael Bisping readily acknowledges that Paddy Pimblett might not possess the same intimidating aura as a powerhouse like Islam Makhachev, but he absolutely stresses, with firm conviction, that Pimblett is still a very real, very dangerous threat in his own right. Bisping anticipates that Pimblett will intelligently rely on his movement, his evasiveness, and his footwork, deliberately avoiding standing directly in front of Justin Gaethje, who, as we all know, carries incredibly dangerous knockout power in both hands. Yet, the Count issues a stern warning against anyone underestimating Paddy, emphasizing his capabilities. He ultimately considers this to be a truly compelling matchup, packed with incredibly high stakes and massive implications for both fighters' careers moving forward.
And for Justin Gaethje, this is the final go. This is the final crack of the whip. The man's had 2 title fights in the past, Charles Oliveira to Khabib Nurmagomedov, and now he gets to go up against Paddy Pimblett. Now, talking about the matchup, of course, it is an easier fight for Justin than what it is against Khabib Nurmagomedov, one of the greatest of all time. Islam Makhachev, the current pound for pound, and according to many people, a man that is surpassing Khabib Nurmagomedov, right? So in that regard, it is an easier matchup. Will Paddy be able to take him down? Will he dance around the octagon? Yes, he will. Will he try and replicate the game plan of Max Holloway? Of course he will. Who wouldn't try and do that? You aren't going to stand and go toe-to-toe with Justin Gaethje because the man does have knockout power. But underestimate Paddy at your peril. That's all I'll say about that one, but that is a phenomenal fight.
Meanwhile, Renato Moicano, never one to hold back his opinions, has openly expressed his surprise, even bewilderment, at how Paddy Pimblett has apparently received a title shot without ever defeating any top 15 contenders in the division. Moicano didn't mince words, flat out calling the situation unfair and raising serious questions about the matchmaking logic. He pointed out quite critically that Pimblett's recent victories came against opponents who were at the time on noticeable losing streaks, specifically naming Michael Chandler and Bobby Green. Moicano clearly finds it baffling and struggles to comprehend how a series of wins against fighters in such a position could possibly translate into a direct title opportunity for the baddie.
What do you think of everything that happened? Who's giving the title shots or whatnot?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't feel that's fair, you know. But we live in a world that is not fair, you know. Giving a title to Paddy Pimblett, a title shot is unbelievable.
Someone that's easy money.
Easy money. And let me tell you something, brother. Who he beat on the division? Michael Chandler coming off 4 losses, 5 losses. Tony Ferguson, 8 losses. Bobby Green coming off 3 losses. And who he beat on the top 15? Nobody. Nobody. And he's still getting the title.
So, that's all the intense, action-packed news we have for you from today's video, and we truly hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of UFC. We absolutely love hearing your thoughts, so please, don't be shy. Go ahead and share your wildest predictions, your agreements or your fiery disagreements down in the comments section below. And if you want to stay in the loop, get all the latest updates, breaking news, and exclusive insights about the UFC, then you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss a single moment of the Octagon action.